So in part one, we got some good power rules, exponent rules that we used with integers, and now we're going to learn how that rational part comes into play. And then remember that the word rational has the word ratio in it, which means that it's a ratio of two integers. So we're talking about numbers that have exponents that is a ratio of two integers. So to understand how a rational exponent works, we're going to have some rational exponent rules. And so one of them says if I have b to the power of 1 over n, that is the nth root of b. So the 1 is your power and the n is your root or your index for your root. So this is saying the nth root of b to the first power. So b has to be greater than or equal to 0 if it's for any integer greater than 1, but it can be less than 0 if n is odd. So I can take the odd root of a negative number, but I cannot take the even root of a negative number. So more rules, just to kind of add on to that, instead of b to the 1 over n, if I make it m over n, then that's either the nth root of b to the power of m. Again, the numerator is your power, the denominator is your root. Or I could do the reverse and say that I have b to the m power, and then I'm taking the nth root of it. So the order of those does not matter. All right, so we're going to put that to work on these 6 problems. And so if we take a look at this one, this is either saying that I can take 343 and square it and then do the cube root of it, or I could do the reverse and take the cube root of 343 and then square it. So if we take a look at our calculator, if you have a forward-thinking calculator, we can type that in that we have the cube root. So right above this power button is the root button. And so we're going to say the cube root using that arrow button of 343 equals, and so that's going to be 7, and 7 squared is 49. Now, if you have a backwards thinking calculator, which I can't find right now, you're going to have to tell it, you're going to type in the 343, you're going to press that X root button, and then you're going to tell it you want it to be that third root, and then you'll find the answer. So on this one, I could have done 343 squared, and that's going to give me 117,649, and then I want the cube root of that. Now, if I'm just using a calculator, there's no big deal between the two of those. Let's see, 3 cube root of 117,649 gives me 49. So we're back to the same answer. But you'll notice if I try to do the power first and then the root, I end up with some really, really big numbers. So you're going to notice that when I do these problems, I tend to do it this way, where I do the radical first, and then I take care of the power to keep everything nice and small. All right, so if we take a look at b, if we transfer this into rational exponents, we can say that I have a power of 3 and I have an index of 3. So this power of 3 is how I got my numerator, and this index or root 3 is how I got my denominator. So power in the numerator and root in the denominator, and 3 over 3 is just 1. So we could say that answer is 8. So what that means is anytime I have a cube root of something cubed, the cube root and the cube cancel, leaving me with just 8. So with what we've learned, pause the video for a moment and see if you can answer C. So I hope you notice that we have this negative here. So I could call this 9 over 1 if I wanted to. And then to take care of that negative, I could say that I have 1 over 9 to the power of positive 1/2. And the power of 1/2 really just means square root. So that means that I have the square root of 1 over the square root of 9, because remember we could distribute that power to each of our numbers. And the square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 9 is 3. There's tons of different ways we could have done that. We could have just distributed it and called it 1 over 9 to the 1/2, etc. But that was the quickest method I could see. So in D, I know it looks a little weird. This is 8 to the power of 2/3 over 8 to the power of 1/3. So see if you could answer this question. So what typically happens in this problem is people see numbers and they want to cancel them. But remember, the rule says keep your base the same and subtract your exponents. And the exponent subtraction is really what is doing the canceling. So if I do 2/3 minus 1/3, I would have 8 to the 1/3 power. Now, that's lovely. You could box it, but you won't get full credit. So the reason why is if I take a look at 8 and I break it down, 8 is 4 times 2. 4 is 2 times 2. So that means that this is 2 to the 3rd power, all to the 1/3 power. And if I take 1/3 of 3, that means I really have 2 to the 1st power, or just 2, because that 1 right there is the 3 over 3. All right, so with that knowledge, see what you can do with E. So I have 64 to the 1st power, and so then that's going to now be 64 to the 1/3 power, and then I've got x to the 6/3 power, because if I do 6 over 1 times 1 over 3, I get 6 over 3. Okay, so when I do that, this 64 is 4 times 16, if you didn't know it, and 16 happens to be 4 times 4. And so we get 4 to the 3rd power, all to the 1/3 power, times x to the 2nd. Okay? And you'll notice 3 times 1/3 is just 1, so this is 4x squared. Now, some of you might have said that 64 is 8 times 8, and that 8 is 4 times 2, and that 4 is 2 times 2. So you notice you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 twos. So we could have said that this was 2 to the 6th, all to the 1/3 power. And then we've got x to the 6/3 power. And you'll see that 6 times 1/3 is 6/3. And 6/3 gives me 2. So 2 squared times x squared gives me 4x squared. So we get to exactly the same answer using 2 different methods. All right, see what you can do with F. So if I can, I want to clean up what's inside my radical before I start taking care of that outside, sorry, not my radical. I want to take care of my fraction before I start taking care of this 1/3. So notice the elevator button would take me up and I would have p to the 6a, that would stay put, and it becomes times p to the positive 3a if I wanted to move that to the top. Or you could say that we have p to the 6a minus negative 3a. That's another way we could have cleaned that up. And notice when I subtract a negative, I'm really adding, and we get to the same place, because if I'm multiplying two numbers with the same bases, I add my exponents. So that means that inside the parentheses, I have p to the 9a all to the 1/3 power. So when I have a power of a power, I multiply my powers. So that gives me p to the 9a over 3. And 9a over 3 is just 3a. So then we just had that conversation about even versus odd roots, that I can take the odd root of anything, but I can only take the even root of a non-negative number, meaning I can be 0 or I can be positive. So in an even root, the answer must be positive, and that means that we might need some absolute value. But in an odd root, the answer can be positive or negative, and so no absolute value is ever going to be necessary when we have an odd root. So if we take a look at these last two questions, what I want you to notice is this 1/2 power is really talking about an even root. So that means when I'm done, I need to make sure that everything in my answer is going to be positive. And so you'll notice here, I end up with 5 to the 1/2 power. I end up with x to the 6/2 power and y to the 4/2 power. So I could leave this in rational exponents and say that I have 5 to the 1/2 x to the third y squared. Now notice 5 to the 1/2, that's always going to be positive. But x cubed isn't always going to be positive because my x value could be negative, and a negative cubed is negative. So we want to make sure that that is positive when we're done. But y squared will always be positive because even if I have a negative number, when I square it, it's positive. So we always want to make sure that even roots have positive answers. Okay, so this is one way to write it, or if you want to write it with a radical, we could say that we have the absolute value of x cubed times y squared times the square root of 5. So it didn't specify which way to do it, so you could do it either way. So then on this question over here, we've got the square root of the product of the inside. So we're going to get x squared y cubed times x cubed y to the 4th. So we have the square root of x to the 5th times y to the 7th. Okay. So now we can do this one of two ways. So one way is I can think of this invisible 2 right here. And remember, that means I have a 1/2 power. So I'm dividing by 2 each time. So 2 goes into 5 2 times, and it has 1 left over. And 2 goes into 7 3 times, and it has 1 left over. And then notice my x squared will always be positive, but my y cubed might not be. So it's really x squared y cubed times the square root of x times y. I'm sorry, with my absolute value there. Now, I could have also at this point said I have x to the 5th, y to the 7th, all to the 1/2 power. And then when I distribute that, I get x to the 5/2, y to the 7/2. And then 2 goes into 5 2 times. So this is 2 and 1/2. And this is y to the 3 and 1/2. And again, 2 1/2 is like 2 plus a half and 3 plus a half. So this is x squared times x to the 1/2 times y cubed times y to the 1/2. So notice we end up with the same thing, x squared, absolute value of y cubed, and then the square root of x times y. So both of those answers are correct.